in the thing. Okay. People are coming, and now we have to wait, and we're gonna see Jen, and she's gonna request to join us. Okay, but wait, it's down here? That's not it. It's not here. Hi, everybody. It's me and Abby. Do you see Abby? I think you gotta smush in. Should I do this
no,
one?
baby, it's okay. I always come in behind you. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at that. That's a cool little system. How are you guys and girls? Oh, wait, there's Jen. Okay, Jen, request to join. Or maybe I can just tap on you. Boom. Go live with Jen Hatmaker. Okay, waiting for Jen Hatmaker. Waiting.
It's like a miracle every time.
We have done it. Yet again, we have done it. Okay, hold on. Is this fine?
Yeah, I'm just trying to...
I love when the internet works.
Oh my God, it's such a miracle.
Look at my hat.
Best hat ever. Which I went to find before this interview, and she was already wearing it outside with her power tools, which I'm not going to talk about yet, because I know you also struggle from this situation where the partner uses power tools to make things better.
I mean, Brandon's adventurous. That was
Look at her, she can't speak.
And I'd like to add another adjective to adventurous. Can we also say spontaneous?
Yeah.
Like, you know what this hour calls for? A porch demolition. Put this out. Like, I'll have a sledgehammer. I guess that's enough to get started.
Right.
So.
Best video of the year, though. Best video of the year.
You know what? We're just doing our best, and I'm noticing that we do things differently in crisis.
Okay,
and
tell me.
So that's his way. He's like, where's a power tool? What is something that I can destroy? What can be destroyed? And so I just kind of go, I want you to have, this is your journey.
Yeah.
This is your journey. And so I'll just come out here in my office and talk to my friends. Hi. Oh, God, I'm happy to see you.
Okay, so I want to tell everybody what we're doing here. We are here. What you can expect is that for the next 40 minutes, do you have 40 minutes?
I do.
Okay, good. So we're going to spend 40 minutes discussing this amazing situation that just came out yesterday. Fierce, free, and full of fire.
Came out on Tuesday.
What day is it?
We don't know. We don't know.
Happy day in a month within a year of some sort of century. This book, Jen, I have to tell you, I would have thought that quarantine time would be a time where I would read a lot. And it turns out that I can't read.
Right.
Like, I can't concentrate on anything.
Right.
However, when this book came to me, Abby will tell you, what did I do?
Cruise through it.
All day. I just sat, I picked it up, I'll try. I'm going to try to read a chapter of a book.
You've never seen a person read so fast.
The whole thing. Well, it took me a full day, but didn't talk to the kids, didn't do anything other than read. I loved every single word in it.
Thank you.
I felt resurrected a little bit. Like, I felt like, I don't like self-help, Jen.
Right, same.
And this is not self-help.
No, gosh.
No, it's self-returning.
I don't know how to self-help.
No, if I could self-help, we would have.
That's not my skill set. Like, I don't have that. That's not in my toolkit.
No.
So I'm not your guru. I'm not your Sherpa.
Right. But what you do is remind us that we are our own Sherpa.
That's it. Yes.
Okay, so I want to hear, first of all, I want to know, I have some personal questions.
Okay.
I have green dog-eared in here.
Yeah.
But before that, I just want everybody, I want to know your process. I want to know how, because I find it incredible that at this moment in time, you have released this book about women returning to themselves, because it feels like there's never been a more pertinent time for that.
Yeah.
Great coincidence. So how, talk about your own personal life and how you came to understand that this is what you needed to work on and write, because I know you and I know that every bit of this is personally earned, which isn't always the case with books. Go ahead. I want to know, how did you come to this?
Okay, first of all, thank you for all those nice things that you just said. Second of all, this was lived and learned, and then I wrote it down. And so, like, my story is specific to me, but I don't think it's that specific, actually. I think most women have a different front door to it, but the packaging is the same, which, like, for me was, I noticed a handful of years ago that, on the regular, I am one version of myself in this room, and I'm a different version of myself in this room, and then I shift it just a little bit over here, and there was only one that was true. So that was the smallest room in my life. It was this little tiny safe room where everything was real, where everything was true, where everything that I said was what I really thought, what I really believed, what I really was asking, what I really wanted. That was the smallest room. But these rooms were where my career was located. And so I needed to give those rooms what they wanted, right? And women are good at that. I think we are incredibly skilled at going into the room and figuring out how to keep the temperature stable, right? Like, that's our job. We were told that. I knew that was my job from the time I was a kid. Like, our job is to go in the room. If it's getting a little bit too warm for somebody, we're supposed to cool the room down. If it's a little too cool, we're supposed to warm it up. That's our job. And so we are required to, like, keep this static temperature in rooms, but we don't even get to set the temperature, right? And so I knew how to keep the temperature right on point. I learned. I know all the rules. Like, I knew what behavior was going to be rewarded, and I was good at those behaviors, by the way. But I also really knew what behaviors were going to be punished. And those were the behaviors that led to my secret room. And I'm like, oh no, because I have a whole job. I have a whole job and a whole life and a whole community. And in that world, the currency was belonging. And so I knew these behaviors mean you get to stay and be loved. But these behaviors, what we will revoke from you is belonging. That's the punishment. And I was afraid. That's it. Like, I wanted to live in the true room. I did. I dreamed. Like, I had this vision. I remember just thinking, how could that be how could that be the whole house? Is that even possible? But I was afraid to pay the cost. That's just it. I wish I had a better answer. I wish it was more noble.
That's it. That's it. That's the truth.
I know. What I wish I could say was, I had some good reason. But the reason was, I knew that whole thing would crumble if I told the truth, if I was true, if I just lived true. And I didn't know what would be on the other side of that. I didn't know if I could rebuild. I didn't know where I would go. I didn't know who would have me. I didn't know what that would look like. I'd never lived like that. And so I was so afraid. But you guys, for me, it just came to this moment where I was like, I can remember, Glennon, you and I were friends in this season, and you were a very generous and steady guide for me. I don't know why you held open the door for me, but you did, before I was ready to walk out of this safe room and make that my whole room, but you did. And I remember that season, and I thought, Jen, here's the bottom line. You either get to hang on to your career as you know it, which was booming, by the way. I was a real darling in my little subculture. I mean, I was.
America's sweetheart.
Just like I have it. Or I get to have my integrity, but I do not get both. These are incompatible. And I chose my integrity. And it's the best decision I ever made in my life. Like, in my living life.
Okay. Tell me, can you just tell for the people who don't know what we're talking about, specifically, like the Christian world and
Sure.
Can you just give them a brief, because I never want to put words in your mouth, so just give them a brief description, example, because actually I believe you've done this a million times, okay? I think the gay thing is the thing that really puts you over the edge. That was the last straw.
As it turns out, is a straw that breaks that camel's back. As it turns out.
That's anything but the gays.
I mean, I'd already put 1,000 little stabs in the fabric.
You did!
Right? Like, for a million other reasons. It wasn't just that. It was
all of it.
It was all of it. But that's the thing that tears it in half. So, for me, I grew up... I kind of grew up in this very conventional, sort of traditional everything, but definitely in a faith space, like in a spiritual space. And so, I, just like every woman, I knew my rules, and I was a good rule follower. So, I mean, I hit my marks. I really did. That was my version of ambition, was to be the best girl there was, right? I'll follow the rules the best. And I will be the surest of everything, and I will be the most certain person in the room about everything. And so, but what had happened is that I grew up, and then things started to not make sense anymore. And I was very, very good and spent a lot of energy keeping the peace in that world. But what happened was I had no peace. I robbed myself of peace. I robbed other communities of peace because I was too afraid to stand with them or stand for them. And so that was no peace at all. That's Martin Luther King's absence of peace, right? That's a negative peace. And so that is hard to live with. That sense of disintegration. And it started, I didn't grow up, I didn't know that we had permission to ask hard questions of systems. I just didn't know that. That wasn't my world. I didn't have that modeled or mentored. I didn't know we could say, well, that feels not true. I didn't know that we could say, well, that feels like that is hurting people. Or that leaves a whole bunch of people out. So how can that be love? I just did not know we were permitted to really push hard on systems. And so I did, and I was pushing on those systems. But again, those are bad behaviors. Those behaviors cost you belonging. And I knew it. So like any watching person could have seen, like, she's going off the rails. Like, this is happening. I'd put a little thing out, everything would fall apart, and then I would really behave for the next couple of weeks.
I know that system.
Like, I will say the most unimpeachable things on the internet. I will be adorable. I will be charming. I will just patch it back together. Like, maybe I can patch it back. But then what happened was, I was like, the way that my parts of my faith were handed to me are hurting a lot of people. And very specifically, what about all my LGBTQ friends? Because this feels real bad in their lived experience. And everything that I'm seeing with my eyes and hearing with my ears doesn't match. Like, it doesn't match what I was told to, think and believe. So, yada, 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 long story short, I'm like, yay gays. Like, yay gays. All of them. Unequivocally. And then...
You can't say bomb on an airplane, and you can't say yay gays if you're doing Hatmaker on the interwebs.
Well, not over there. Not in that.
Right, not over there. Right.
So, even though I stabbed the fabric in a million other places, that was the thing. And so, I'm so... Then a bunch of things happened, and everything, fell down, and I lost, everything. Book, contract.
Which is beautiful, and in this.
It's in
so honestly, and so beautifully.
Yeah. And what I want to say is the only regret that I have is that I did not decide to be true and sincere and have integrity sooner. That's it. I wish I could go back and just shake myself to death and be like, you can trust yourself. Like, you can trust yourself. That thing inside of you is good. And when it's rubbing up so ferociously against something you've been taught, then maybe you should re-examine what you've been taught. Like, why is that so hard? Why is that a deal breaker? Well, it is. So,
tragically, the narrator says,
but
it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Jen, I weaseled my way into this because not only do I love this book, I love you. I think that what you do, and I kind of witnessed from the outside what you did work-wise to make this book possible. My big question for you, because I think when we all go through transformation, we can look back. It feels like a little bit of a blur now here, but when we look back, I would love to know what do you find the biggest difference from who you are from then till like right now? Like who are you now, and what is the biggest difference maker that like you feel on the daily?
I remember more than anything when I kind of think about that season of my life, where I was having to keep a temperature stable that I no longer could live inside, that I constantly felt afraid. I was so afraid all the time because the punishments are, I know we're not supposed to take it all personal, but that's not how I do. That's not how I live. Yeah, I just can't, I'm not like that. And so everything just hurt all the time. And so I remember being so scared. I just like, I'm not gonna be able to keep this up. Not just for this community, but for me. Like, this is unsustainable. I need to be free. And I'm afraid that the freedom is going to cost everything. And so I remember just being constantly afraid and adjusting the dials. Just adjusting. And so I don't even know who I was in that moment. But I can tell you this. Women will just never thrive when the cost of their belonging is silence. Like, that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It breaks our hearts. Like, it breaks our minds. It breaks our bodies. It breaks our relationships. And so when I, like, kind of think that almost in every category right now, I am the same all the time, it feels like a freaking miracle. I'm not kidding. It feels like a miracle, you guys. I did not know this was possible. I didn't even have the language for this a few years ago. I remember telling people, like, my community is really hard and I don't love it. And I don't know how to, it's always mad at me. And I think I don't know how to fix anything. And apparently the way to fix everything is just to tell the truth.
Yes.
That's it. Let the chips fall where they may. And they will fall. And I don't sugarcoat that. They will fall. There is a cost. Women are not wrong. When they think this is going to cost something, like this is going to create some turbulence in my world that I have crafted and that I help tend, I keep this world at the temperature it wants to be. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I contend it's still worth it. Like, the thing on the other side of that, and Glennon, this is like woven into like every page of Untamed too. The thing on the other side of that is life. That's what it is. Life. Full, good, beautiful, real. God, real. I pay a lot of money for real. Now I know that is worth its cost. Yeah. It's so good. We don't need to be afraid of truth. It will hurt some stuff. It will. And that will hurt. And it will cause pain. And that's all true. But, oh my goodness. Real and true is worth it. And then we get to build the world we want.
Yeah.
We want for our daughters, right? Don't you, like, when you think about the girls, your girls, and I think about mine, doesn't that just cut right through the fat? You know? Like, when everything feels a little wobbly, like, do I have permission to want this for myself? Do I have permission to say this? Can I live? It can get a little gray, a little fuzzy, because for so long they're hard to undo. But when I think about my girls, it just crystal clear the kind of world I want for them. Crystal clear how true and real they deserve to get to be right this minute. I don't want them to have to relearn this in their 40s.
Yeah.
I want them out of the gate.
Yeah.
Out of the gate like this.
That's right. Oh my God. Also, I just freaking love listening to you. I could listen to you for 12 hours.
Same.
I could listen to you talk for 12 hours. Okay.
I mean, literally, I just left my woodworking table. I'm dealing with baseboards. Don't get me started. I have sawdust everywhere, and I like weaseled my way in here.
Only interview I've ever done that she's like, "Can I please join?"
because I just like listening to you. I think that everything that you say is true, and it has been. Even if it hasn't been fully true for you, I love you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abby.
Tell me about how you two are so interesting, the two of you. And also, I will have you know that when you were wrestling with this gay thing, I knew what I was doing when I introduced you to Abby. I was like, this girl, this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. This one. She always is. She's too damn lovable.
She's the antidote. Like, no, any defenses are going to crumble. That's it. That is it.
Tell me about women, and you are how do I say it? I mean, you listen deeply and carefully to women. You gather up all of their heartbreaks and needs and wants. You give permission to... See, here's what, for those of you who are watching, who have never been inside a Christian world or any kind of fundamentalist world, okay? There are things that Jen will say that if you are in like different circles, if you are in feminist circles, if you are in whatever, they will not sound revolutionary. Gay people are fine, whatever. What you have to know is what you have to know is there's a different level of courage that it takes for a person in a different circle to say those things, right? Like, it might not seem, outrageously courageous to say it over here, but there are people who are in situations that are close to the belly of the patriarchal beast, and when they say those things, it takes 50,000 times more courage than it does for people over here. It's like levels of courage. And you have been someone who are like, your courage is maybe unmatched in this scenario, situation, time, and world you were in, because you were closest to the belly of the beast and you said things anyway and you paid the price. You're like the leaders who take the arrows. You took
Can I say something?
I guess.
I just think, like, the way that I can imagine it is like, there are people, I lived much of my life on the outside of a church.
Right.
And imagine sitting in pews and a sermon happening and Jen Hatmaker standing up and saying, no, that's not right. And the whole congregation looks at you. That's the courage and the bravery that I can visualize you undertaking and going after every single day, because it is sometimes even much harder to be inside the institution and scream to the walls while everybody's looking at you going, what the hell, right? It's no big deal if you're outside because nobody's really caring, right? And when the fact that you do it on the inside, both things have to be true. Like, people have to be doing it on the outside, people have to be doing on the inside for actual institutional change to happen. But it's a certain kind of bravery to do what you've been doing. And I applaud you. I love you. And I just think that you're awesome.
I think that's one of the reasons why she loves you so much is because I've seen it. And I think it's unusual, your guys' like immediate love for each other. And I have this thought that sometimes Abby's been really, really scarred by church. Like, it's broken her heart growing up as a gay kid in the church. And I have this feeling that sometimes, it's like that idea when you get a snake bite, like the antidote has to have a little bit of the bite in it. Like, the healing sometimes has to come from somebody in the church if the church is what hurt you. Yes. So to have you love her wildly and completely does something for her. Okay. I feel like I just need you to say I'm so scared that we're going to run out of time. I need you to say all the other things that women need to know. Go.
I'm just going to take that in right now.
Okay. Just real quick, I just need you to say all the things that we need to know. Just the things you haven't mentioned, Jen. Well, what do you wish that they all knew, even without having to go through what you've gone through?
Ugh. You're freaking me out right now.
Sorry.
That was a lot for my heart to take in. I'm in quarantine with 5 kids. Like, what do you want right now? I mean, that was a lot of information received from 2 people that I love. Okay, here's what I want to say to the women listening. You don't even have to understand church subculture to understand this horrible cultural messaging. Like, I think women feel silenced and compromised and disenfranchised in all kinds of environments. It can be like any place where you've got to follow the rules to belong, whatever it is. Like, I think for some women, that's their own families. Oh, that is such a loneliness that breaks my heart. For some people, it's like it's their corporate culture, you know, where women have a very specific set of rules. This is how much authority you're allowed. This is, we're definitely going to pay you less. I don't know if you know anything about pay parity. For some people, it's geography. I cannot tell you how many women in my community email me privately, and they're like, I live in the Deep South, and I'm so lonely. Right? Like, my geography has a set of rules and expectations, and everybody around me follows them. My mom, my aunt, my grandma, my sister, and I'm outside of them, and I don't know what to do because I live here, right? Or whatever your subculture is, I think a lot of women can understand what it means to have to shapeshift constantly to keep your good standing intact there. So you can be like, I don't even get like what a church situation would look like. That's not really even what Fierce is about. It's more like, what does it mean for women to be free? Like, where you are, like how you are, like exactly how you are, your personality and what you care about, what you believe about, what you want. I know we're not supposed to want. That's a big no-no for women. But it turns out we want some things. And they're good. They're good. You guys, I mean, Glennon, you've talked about this. And Abby, you just talked about it too. In my world, I very much grew up with this one pervasive idea, and it was like, something about me is bad. Something about me is bad. And for me, this wasn't even overt, or this wasn't even subtle. It was set. Like, you cannot trust your mind. It's no good. You cannot trust your heart. It's evil. It's evil. It's wicked. You can't trust your instincts. You definitely can't trust your ambition. Something about you is just so bad. And so the way that you need to live your life is just to try as hard as you can to, like, be better. And then hopefully God will just be like, God, whatever, just let her into heaven. I don't know, you know, like, just let her in. What a problem. I felt that way. Like, I received it. Like, I am broken. I don't even know. There's nothing good in me. And what I wish women knew is that you really can trust your own good self, and you are good, and your heart is good, and your mind is good, and your instincts are worth trusting. It's there to protect you. It's there to serve you, for crying out loud. So that's hard to undo. That, isn't it? It's hard to undo. I still hear it creep in right now. I'm saying these words, and I have a little thought right here going, yeah, but you're kind of bad.
Yeah.
You know?
My thought. It's come in my armpits with sweat, so I'm sweating when you're saying all this. So that's my reaction.
Same. And I just think the problem is nobody will fix this for us. Right? I wish that they would. I wish that all the systems would be fair and just. I wish that misogyny would just decide to be over. I wish that white supremacy just went, you know what? This was a bad move. This was a bad call.
Next Tuesday, that's going to happen. Yes.
End it. Let's just look at it and end it. You know, I wish that people in power decided to be fair and to share. I wish that they didn't decide to further disenfranchise women and people of color and, you know, all the immigrants, just all the groups that get just pushed and pushed. But apparently that's not going to happen. And so we're left with this terrible choice, which is to do our own work. I hate that. I do. Like, I do. but this is an inside job. Yeah. And so if nobody is going to change around us, then I guess we're just left being true to ourselves. That's where we're at. That's the part we have to play. And then we're going to have to hope that if enough of us do that, we build a new world, right? We build a new world. We just take those stupid systems down, brick by brick. The bricks are hard to pull off. They'll bloody your knuckles. I'm telling you, they will. And I hope I go to the grave just with like bloodied, scarred knuckles, just pulling them down, right? Just brick by brick. For our girls, for our sons.
Yes. Yeah, for all of them.
So good, Jen.
And one of the very, very cool things about this book is, you know, with Untamed, people, I talk about returning to yourself, and then people will say, well, what's the self? And I'm like, can you just ask me the next question? But what other things? Ask me other things. Okay, one of the things I really loved about this is you do this in a very true, honest, narrative story way. So it's very easy to take in, but it's also kind of one of Jen's tricky like guidebooks.
Yeah. Like
the questions of what do I want? Like what I felt like it was like, okay, we need to return to ourselves, and here's how we're going to do it. Here's how you find yourself. Here are the questions you must ask and the journey you must take to get that self to rise up again.
That's it.
Right? And
right.
The categories. I'm going to try to, what do I need? What do I want? What will I march for, right, was one.
This is who I am, what I want, what I need, what I believe, how I connect. And that all became clearer for me in hindsight. So what I did is I sat down and went, oh my God, I'm free. It happened. Here I stand. How did I get here? Like, I don't remember what happened. It was really crazy. Like, who helped me? Like, how did this happen?
I get that.
So I went back really slowly, kind of gathering all my best teachers, like all my best leaders, the people that I like listened to and what they taught me. Some of it was experiential. What did I go through and what did that teach me? What does my body have to teach me? My body's been a good friend to me, but I am terrible to her. We've had this conversation. And so that is where hindsight sort of began to build this mountain of teachers and mentors and truth. And I'm like, oh, these were my guides. I didn't even realize I was just grabbing onto them as we went. Every single one of them meant so much to me when it did. And so I just shoved every last one of them in the book. Like, okay, this was something I learned from this person. This is something I learned from this person. This was a little script that literally helped me get through some hard moments. These were little things that I would say when people said hard and mean things. And so there's tools in there too. And they're just the tools that served me. That's what it is. So I'm sure there's more, but I'm only one person. You know, I'm just one person. I can't know everything. It's just these are the ones that helped me.
It feels like more than one person. With all the goodness, it feels like more than one person. Well, and that's because you pulled in all your teachers, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
treasure trove everywhere who listen. Like, thank goodness. I didn't know about that because I grew up for a long time just listening to the same kind of people. So my worldview was so myopic and small and narrow, but I did think that was the whole world because it's all I ever saw. That's all I ever listened to, and it was all very like self-fulfilling, you know. And so that was in those early stages when I was in my secret room. That's where I was like, oh my God, look at these people. Look at what they're saying. Like, look at what they're asking. Look at who gave them permission to say that, you know? And they're all in here. All my leaders. All my best leaders. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. You'll love this because you will. I remember right at the genesis of me kind of going, I can't live in this world anymore. So whatever the cost, I've got to be true. I remember that Rachel Held Evans called me. And this was kind of right as everything was just going up in flames for me. Just inferno. And she called me and she said, I want to tell you something that you can't possibly know right now because everything is so hard and everything feels so scary. and you're not out of the fire yet. You're on fire right now, so you can't know this. But she said, what you're going to discover soon is that telling the truth and doing the right thing is its own reward. It will be your comfort, and it will be enough. You don't know what's going to happen next, and I didn't know what was going to happen next. But she's like, even if nothing ever recovers, if you just have to kind of start a whole new chapter of your life, it's still enough to do the right thing. It will comfort you. And she was right. She was right. And so now at this point, every beautiful thing that I have, my beautiful community, everything that is so good in my life now, it's just icing. It's just icing. The cake is being true. That's enough. And standing true and real and right and good, that's enough. And so whatever else comes, we'll just yay. You know, just yay for that.
You okay? I'm fine. I'm good.
She's not crying over here.
I'm fine. I'm good. I cry on the inside. I have all the feelings, but then the Lexapro stops the tears right at the gut. Truth and Lexapro. Okay. Holy crap.
I need to know about the parade. That was the most beautiful thing.
Oh my God, we watched it. Abby and I watched it twice on our couch. Can you just...
I've watched it 5 times.
Okay, well...
I've done it more than...
Can you just tell... This is what I felt like. Real quick, so the rest of you know, I'll let Jen tell the story after I tell the story. On Jen's publishing day. What's it called?
Yeah.
She went outside and... What? Your whole town went by your house in a parade of cars. And Jen... I sat on my couch with Abby, and it was so beautiful, and there were so many people, and they were dropping off presents, and they had posters, and they had balloons for your big day, and I just felt like this, I don't know, I'm, like, you know, I'm a raging introvert, and it's hard for me to make, like, connections like that, like, you know, the town is not gonna have a parade. I watched...
No, our daughter.
Right. I watched it and felt like this is what a life well lived looks like.
Oh,
in real life.
It made me cry, like
real life.
Ugly cry tears. I was right there with you. I can't believe the front porch the way that it looks. I feel like that parade was indicative of what we all could wish for on the day that is the most important day in your professional career, releasing your book and whatnot. And I'm going to say this because you two won't. You guys are authors of books that have been released during this weird pandemic time. Right now, authors are struggling. I know many people are struggling, so take that with a grain of salt. But authors who are releasing books right now, the world is just a very different world than was planned and expected.
Buy the book.
Please buy this book. Please follow Jen Hatmaker. She's amazing. Now tell your side of the parade story. Sorry, we just talk.
Well, for no other reason, you should go over to my Instagram account or Facebook or whatever just to watch the parade. Because well, first of all, it's so helpful that I can be so incredibly unself-aware. And so I need to tell you, this wasn't even on my radar. Well, we're quarantined. You know, we were going to have a good time, and then everything just isn't. And so I was like, well, you know what? Just happy pub day to me, I guess. And so my friends who live like 400 yards that way, they're like, come out, let's just take a quarantine walk. We just want to at least put our eyes on you. We want to see you on release day. Like, we want you to know we care. And I'm like, this is me. I'm texting and I'm like, it's just hot. It's hot outside. I don't want a celebration walk. And they're like, no, we'll do a short one. I'm like, I'm in flip-flops. I mean, I'm really trying to sabotage. I'm like, I'm in flip-flops. They're like, it's a stroll. Like, get outside, right? And I'm like, it's a stroll. It's a stroll. And so, fine. So I start walking out, and of course I have to go out my side porch because front porch demo. Remember? So I can't see anything. I can't see anything. So I'm coming around my side yard, and everything's confusing. First of all, why is Brandon following me? Why is he following me? What a weirdo. Like, I'm just taking a stroll in the heat, you know? Why is he on his phone? And then I see my friends, and they're wearing weird outfits, and they're tinkling their little bike tinkles. Ding, 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 ding. And then I see somebody dressed in a dinosaur costume, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening right now. Like, my environment is giving me some weird messages, and I don't know how to perceive it. Like, I don't know how it's happening. You know, I can't interpret what's happening. And then I see my mom. I'm like, why is my mom here? Why is my mom here? And our fence kind of goes out far. So I kind of have to get almost all the way to the street before I can see anything. I could just cry. And everybody starts honking, and I look down the street, and there are cars wrapped all the way around the block, and it's all my friends, and it's the dearest thing, and they have signs, and they have balloons, and they are, it's just so stupid, I just can't handle it.
It's not stupid, it's love.
I freaked out. I completely freaked out, like, what? And it just went on forever. And they're getting out of their car, and they're putting gifts and champagne in a socially distanced bucket.
Yes, they were. They were so responsible.
I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Me neither.
So special.
Yeah.
So
that shows who you are as much as the book does. Mm-hmm. That shows who you are as much. It almost inspired me to go make some friends.
Yeah, and maybe this was the big reason why Brandon had to rip apart the front porch, to keep you away from the front.
Oh. You know, Abby and Brandon have some similar wiring, and so he would be strategic like that. You guys, can we just, before we sign off, can I just talk to you about quarantine for 1 second? Because we're also there with a bunch of people, and I don't know if this feels familiar at all. Maybe you can't relate to this, but we are in a whole house full of big feelers.
Yes.
Relatable, or
yes.
And so every day, like, now we have all teens and young adults. Like, the youngest person in the house is 14. Like, we have a 22-year-old and everything in between. And so we don't see them till later. Like, our go time is like 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. Like, that's our life right now.
Oh my
gosh. Brent and I will look at each other in the morning and be like, which one of us? Because just shit goes sideways every day. Like, somebody's feelings fall apart and they bleed all out, and it's usually the three of us at once. And we're like, which one of us has enough gas in the tank to manage today's fires? Like, is it you? Is it you? Like, one of us will be like, you know what? I'm idling pretty high. I don't feel like it's me today. I would cause some trauma if it has to be me, right? We just figure it out. Like, which parent can do it?
Oh, God.
Which parent can do it? How are you doing it? Can you help me?
Well, we have this beautiful thing that has happened to our family, which is called divorce. So we have 2 homes. So I feel so sad for people who haven't gotten divorced, but this thing happens when you have, which is that they go away. And it's so sad. It breaks my heart. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm not even going to say I'm joking. I'm just going to land there and let it stand, Jen.
I think the thing, in all seriousness, the thing that we've done with the kids, because we've got 12, 14, 17, they also wake up late, not as late as 3 p.m., but, 10, 11 a.m. So we have the mornings kind of to ourselves. And I think that for sure there is 2 big feelers that live under this roof, Glennon and Tish. And and usually it's like we are all in defense mode. If something's going to go sideways, it's going to come from one of them. And because of Untamed and the publication of that a month ago, Glennon's been very busy. So I have become, which is totally great, like stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And I am also the PE teacher and also the soccer coach and also the gardening expert and so
construction worker,
woodworker, chef.
So every morning, she and Chase and Anna get together, and they say, which one of us has the bandwidth to deal with Tish and Glennon today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they decide. Right?
You know what? God bless us all. You know? God bless us all.
We're trying, man.
I know. Sometimes I just walk into the room and then I see like the 18, I'm not joking, cups.
The cups.
The questions. All the freaking questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? How much of this? When do we do this? What's for dinner? Da-da-da. Every question that's possible that goes in a little child's or a young adult child's brain has come out of their mouth and has been asked during this quarantine. And I bless all parents for dealing with the questions. Do you know what we say now? Figure it out.
That's it.
You know what I say? Ask Siri.
Siri. That's why Siri
I think Siri has the answer for you. I hope. You know, I find that I am saying things to my children right now in quarantine that like when they were little, precious, incorrupted kindergartners, I could have never imagined, you know, when they were just like innocent and parenting was still like very controllable, you know, like I had guaranteed outcomes at that point in my life. But because now I looked at I have two seniors in the house right now, but one of them is a senior in high school. And I looked at him and I meant this. I meant it sincerely. I was like, do you think in this one class, is there any way that you can just get a D? Is that possible? Like, and I will celebrate the D. I mean, I'll have a party for you.
Mm-hmm.
I will. I'll have a party for you. If that is just something you feel like you can pull off right now on a homeschool journey, you know? God.
Can we make that our quarantine goal?
Yeah.
Everyone. We're going to just try to get a D.
That's
okay?
Good.
All of us. We're going to celebrate the Ds.
It's happy.
Nobody's going to try to overachieve and get a C. Nobody likes a hero. No.
That's exactly right. Be human. Be relatable. Right
Be
now.
relatable.
You know?
That's right. Okay. Listen to me and listen good, everyone who's watching. Okay, yes, that's the hat.
Is it backwards, though?
No, it's good. I think it's perfect. Okay, so buy Jen's book. If you can, buy it from an independent bookstore because we need them to survive this because they are important to the world. Okay? Jen, you're just our favorite.
Same.
Our favorite.
I'm gonna look at these. Look at these beautiful.
Oh, they're together.
Hugging.
They really are sisters, aren't they?
They love each other.
The rest of you, after you buy the book, just try to get a D. Okay?
That's it.
Get a D.
Actually, get an A in freeing yourself.
Oh, look at you.
Get an A.
Get
an A in freeing yourself.
She closed the loop.
Yeah.
Closed the loop.
We owe it to ourselves, and it's a journey that we all have to figure out how each and every one of us needs to unlearn the bullshit we were taught about what it means to be a girl. I mean, I'm listening to a book right now, and it's like centuries upon centuries. Like, women have been sold as property. Like, that is embedded in our psyche. We all know this, and we have to unlearn it. This book will help. Gives you the tools.
We love you, Jen.
I love
Hang
you
in
so
there.
much.
1 hour at a time.
Thank you for having me.
I love you. I love you. I love
Say
you.
bye to Brandon.
Okay, we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it to
And
the same way because.